Hi, this is Mark Tibb speaking. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
So has Daniel Dubois put the final nail into the coffin of Don King? Don't take that literally. I'm not being ageist or anything. But Don King, when it comes to boxing in today's particular era, now, what he's done historically is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. A lot of the things that's happening with boxing now and all the historical fights, or a lot of the historical fights that you look back on with great reverence, is because of Don King. He's done absolutely fantastic, but he's 90 years old. He has no business being in boxing in this particular era. Now, no idea if he managed to pay Daniel Dubois and Trevor Bryan for their fight, because that fight between Daniel Dubois and Trevor Bryan for the WBA regular world heavyweight championship looked like it took place in a school gymnasium with like 25 people. That's what it looked like. So did he make his money back? I have no idea. I hope he has some great sponsorships. But Daniel Dubois defeating Don King's champion Trevor Bryan meant that Trevor Bryan is no longer in the equation. And rightfully so. He hasn't done anything. He should never have been WBA world champion to start with. He shouldn't have been. But we know why he was, because Don King has a great relationship with the WBA, and Don King convinced the WBA to allow Trevor Bryan to fight for the WBA regular world heavyweight title by getting Manuel Charles stripped, so Trevor Bryan can fight Don King's other fighter in Bermane-Stiverne for that belt, even though Bermane-Stiverne come off like, two losses back-to-back, something like that. One of them was to Joe Joyce, if you remember that one. Such is the absolute bullshit when it comes to Don King and the WBA. But keeping with the consistency of the WBA and Don King, the WBA, a couple of months ago, or a few months ago, ranked Jonathan Guidry in their top 15. Why? So Trevor Bryan can defend that WBA world title against Jonathan Guidry, who is also a Don King fighter. Are you seeing the pattern here? Jonathan Guidry on the very same card as Trevor Bryan and Daniel Dubois for a 7-0 prospect, former American amateur, in Dubois Scott. Knocked out Dubois Scott in the 7th round. Now, quite what Dubois Scott was doing in a 10-rounder after only 6 and 7 fights is beyond me. He's a very, very young man, early 20s, and he's huge. He's obese. No young 20-year-old should be in that condition and being in a professional boxing ring. You shouldn't be. Okay, but he got knocked out. Why? Because he gassed. That's why he got knocked out by Jonathan Guidry, a guy who nobody is going to pay to watch. So that is Jonathan Guidry, come off a loss to Trevor Bryan, and now Jonathan Guidry has knocked out Don King's other fighter in Dubois Scott. Bermane-Stiverne gets beat up every time he fights, and Trevor Bryan just got knocked out by Daniel Dubois. So who is it that Don King's got left? Well, he's got Elonga Macabu. Macabu is a WBC Cruiserweight World Champion. Now, this could be a bit of a kicker, by the way. Now, is anybody going to come out and pay for Macabu to watch him fight? No. And for those of you who don't know about Macabu, he's a guy who Tony Bellew knocked out at Goodison Park, the Everton Football Stadium, to become WBC Cruiserweight World Champion back in 2016. But since then, Macabu, he has come back. He's fought a bunch of people that I've never heard of before and become WBC Cruiserweight World Champion again. And quite honestly, listen, I follow boxing pretty rigorously, and I've only ever heard of 2 people that Macabu has fought. Tony Bellew, of course, who Tony Bellew knocked out, and Glenn Johnson. Glenn Johnson is a glorified journeyman. Everybody else, never heard of him. Never heard of him. Now, there was talk about Canelo potentially fighting Macabu for that belt. Why? Because Canelo would beat him. That's why. Macabu, he ain't that good. He really isn't. Now, I know is he cousin of Martin Bacoli, I believe he is. But Macabu, again, this is the kicker that I was about to talk about, because I have heard, again, take it with a pinch of salt, okay? Because until that bridge is crossed, we don't know quite honestly. But I'm hearing that there is some kind of deal between Don King and the WBC president, Mr. Suleiman, that if Tyson Fury vacates that WBC heavyweight world title, Macabu will be elevated from WBC Cruiserweight World Champion to WBC World Heavyweight Champion. that would suck an absolute ball bag. It would. So WBC will keep Don King in boxing. So hopefully Tyson Fury doesn't vacate for many different reasons, because obviously I want to see him fight for Undisputed, but hopefully for that particular reason too. Macabu is pickings for somebody. If I was Ben Shalom, Boxer Sky Sports, I'd be trying to push for Rishi Rakpour to be fighting Macabu. I would. If I was Eddie Hearn, I'd be pushing for Lawrence Okoli to be fighting Macabu. Get that belt off him. Because somebody's going to do it real soon. And for him to be elevated to WBC World Heavyweight Champion would be an absolute sickener. But either way, that is the last part of the Don King puzzle. Get rid of Macabu. Don King has nobody. But technically he has nobody anyway, because ain't nobody going to be tuning in to watch Macabu fight. You're not, are you? I'm not being horrible about the guy, but people don't tune in to watch Macabu. They don't. Unless, of course, he was going to fight Canelo. But then people are tuning in to watch Canelo do an absolute destruction job on him. My thoughts, drop me yours, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.